Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Molnar here. We're taking a look at the tropics as well as some synoptic weather to be had here across the North American continent. A big pattern change is going to be in effect, but take a look at this. This is Tropical Storm Karl. We're going to be taking a look at that, see what's going to happen with that. Also, there's a system up here in the northeast we're going to take a closer look at. Out here in the Atlantic, we have a 20% chance through day 5. We'll see if there's anything else out here into the tropics. And here it is into the northeast. This is going to be a severe weather day for later Thursday in particular, as we have a squall line that will move into the northeast. And I'll go into the particulars onto exactly what areas could see the most severe weather. Let's get into it. All right, so taking a look at Karl here, Tropical Storm Karl is not going to be a major factor by any stretch of the imagination here. We have an area high pressure here to the north. That's going to block this system, keep it on a southward trajectory here. It doesn't really have any other place to go. This is its exit strategy. And as you can see, as we approach, this is Friday morning. Yeah, it's a minimal tropical storm. So it's not going to be any more than a big rain producer here across Mexico and Central America. As you can see, as we continue in time, it may make it over here to the tropical or Pacific tropical side here. But at this point, we're not going to be looking at anything major here. If we go out into the rest of the Atlantic, we have a couple tropical waves. This area through day 5 has a 20% chance. Let's put that into motion and see if that's going to be of any threat. It's pretty much going to find a weakness in the subtropical ridge. This is Monday, October 17th. You can see it's probably going to become our next named storm. So we're going to have another named storm potentially on the list to check off. But as you can see, it's going to continue out here into the Atlantic and kind of get caught up in these westerlies. The Azores are up in this region, so we may be looking at the potential for this system affecting the Azores. But at this point, it's probably going to combine forces with some of the storms coming out of the westerlies here. And as we take a look here, things are pretty quiet as we approach Sunday, October 23rd here, until you get to about, let's bring it up to the 26th here. The intertropical convergence zone becomes a bit more active in this region. You see east of the Lesser Antilles. You can see a big area that we're going to be watching, and you got to watch this area in October. We've had some pretty strong hurricanes come out of this region, and we will be watching a tropical wave potential here just west of Florida. So we're going to keep an eye on it. The tropics are not quite done yet. I still think we could see the potential for another hurricane. And as we continue in time here, take a look at this. The intertropical convergence zone remains active out there. So all eyes are on that. We could have some named systems here as we approach. This is Saturday, October 29th. All right, so taking a look at the tropics here, this is the European model. Let's take a look. So here is Karl. Take a look at this. So as we head in time, we're going to see a pretty good area. You can see that high pressure building across the southeastern part of the United States. With that trough kicking out, this is helping to push this system more to the south and to the west. So this high and low is helping. You can see it much better on the Euro here, and it drifts south. It doesn't have much steering current, so it literally just drifts south. It cannot go further north because of this high pressure over North America. You can see as we head in time, Karl just kind of drifts to the south here and makes landfall pretty much in the same location as the GFS. You can see here across the southern coastline here of the extreme southern Gulf of Mexico. And that goes over to the Pacific side and tries to flare up something a little bit. Not too successful at it, though. It may become a named storm. We'll see. Maybe tropical depression. But if the rest of the tropics don't look very eventful, we do have an area of low pressure on the Euro here out by this is October 17th, so we'll keep an eye on it here, but things quieting out for the time being. So taking a look at the Eastern Pacific here, and then we'll get to the Western Pacific and the Asian Pacific here. Let's take a look at this. So yeah, not too much to talk about. Karl might try to flare something up. This is Saturday, October 15th, as it makes landfall. But you can see it kind of brings out on this side. We do have that little slight chance, not much of a chance by any stretch of the imagination, southeast of Acapulco here. But you can see it just kind of washes out. Intertropical convergence zone is kind of pushing a little further to the south here. That's a sign that the hurricane season is maturing here. And we do get kind of a spin up here. We got to watch this because look at this. This kind of came up on this model run. Take a look at this. So we might have something to talk about by later next week. It is a bit far out, but look at this. Something may spin up here. This is a potential hurricane, and this could affect some populated areas. I mean, look at what we have here. all the way along these resort towns, all the way to Acapulco. Let's see where this potentially makes landfall. I know it's pretty far out, but look at this. Potentially just east of Acapulco, we could be looking at a landfalling hurricane. So definitely keep an eye on this. And will it potentially make it up into the Gulf of Mexico? Well, let's take a look here as we go in time. Yeah. So this is Monday, October 24th. That was that tropical wave I was showing you on the Atlantic frame side here. So yeah, we have to watch this in the Gulf of Mexico. This may become a named storm by later on in October here. And as you can see, it kind of crosses the Florida Peninsula and then kind of washes out at that point. So we'll definitely keep an eye on it out here in the Eastern Pacific. All right, so if we take a look at the Western Pacific, Asian Pacific here, we have Tropical Depression number 21 definitely potentially becoming our next named storm. It's not going to become a typhoon or anything like that. You can see there is quite an area of convection out here. But the rest of the tropics out here, yeah, we have a tropical wave here towards Vietnam. But let's take a look and see what happens with that. There's not much development expected. It's going to head inland pretty quickly here, become a big rain producer here into northern Vietnam. And you can see basically the Philippines here not looking too bad, pretty clear. And you can see there's our storm out here heading well out into the northern Pacific. As we go in time, let's see if there's any major areas of concern. Well, there is. Just south of Taiwan. This is Sunday. This is later on this weekend. So we could be looking at the potential for some development, maybe a tropical storm in here and a hurricane. Look at this, forming an eye by this point. This is Sunday. So yeah, it's going to pass, according to the GFS here, it's going to pass between the northern part of the Philippines here, and here's the island of Taiwan. Let's see where this goes, because this is going to be our big focus over the next several days. You can see as we continue in time, that storm kind of washes out. This is kind of good news. It kind of heads towards the southwest, but it may in time become a problem for Vietnam. You can see this is by Thursday, October 20th here. You can see the system is heading towards the Vietnam area, and we may be looking at some heavy rains moving in. But at that point, it doesn't look like the system will become a typhoon by that point. But definitely, we're going to watch it here. Any wobble in intensity and track, this could actually affect parts of the northern Philippines into Taiwan. And we don't see any major other areas of concern heading on into the month of October. All right, so if we take a look at the Northeast, before I get into the future radar here, this is our area that we're going to be watching. This is a marginal threat today. This is Thursday, October 13th. You can see places like Syracuse, Binghamton, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Harrisburg, Philadelphia, even New York City and Albany later this evening, Washington, D.C., all the way down into Richmond, Virginia. So let's take a look at your future radar. All right, so let's take a look at the HRRR model here. We're in severe weather mode for the rest of the segment. Take a look at this. So this is as we head towards the early afternoon. This is where things get a little bit problematic. You can see down into parts of central Pennsylvania in particular, up into parts of Steuben County, New York. This is 2 p.m. on Thursday. So you can see this line is going to be heading to the east very, very slowly here. But nevertheless, it could produce some damaging wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour. I think that's going to be the main threat. There's 3 p.m. This is your future radar. Take a look at this. We'll have some strong thunderstorms into parts of Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and we head up into parts of Elmira, Ithaca area, Cortland, almost to Binghamton by this point. So as we approach the late afternoon rush hour here, this is where things really go downhill rapidly. Look at this. This is getting into the Binghamton area by 4 p.m., down into just east of Williamsport, just west of Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. This thing is going to head to the east. It's going to contain damaging wind gusts. So there is that marginal threat. We're going to continue to watch that as we go into the afternoon. You can see 6 p.m. here. It is starting to get into the Catskills and the Poconos here and the lower Susquehanna Valley. So definitely want to watch this as we head into the evening there, 8 p.m. We're definitely getting into the eastern Catskills. You're going to have to watch for this as we get into the Hudson Valley. Take a look at this. We've got strong thunderstorms all the way down into Allentown, parts of Reading, and then it's kind of becoming a little bit weaker down into parts of Baltimore and Washington, D.C. here. So as we continue in time, let's take a look, see how this gets into the Hudson Valley. It does start to weaken a little bit, although Albany, that looks like you could be getting some severe thunderstorms by 9 p.m. this evening. Look at this heavy rain out ahead of this. This is some beneficial rains for parts of Long Island and Connecticut and Rhode Island, western Massachusetts. And as we continue in time here, let's take a look and see what the HRRR does with this line. It kind of washes it out into a massive, it is still kind of holding together here into the Hudson Valley, but by this point, it's just a heavy rain producer. So hopefully we can get, by this point, heading into the overnight hours, it becomes a massive heavy rain producer. And you can see some of back building going on with the showers and thunderstorms. We still can't get rid of them into parts of Syracuse, Binghamton, Scranton area, and Harrisburg. We'll continue with all-night rain in these areas. And let's continue as we go in time here. You can see there is like an area of low pressure here off the coast, and that's going to produce this big batch of heavy rain that's going to continue to push inland all night here. And as we continue in motion, let's take a look. This is heading into 4 a.m. Friday. So yeah, it looks like the line starts to try to re-energize here as we get into western New England. So there's that line. It does weaken across parts of the Hudson Valley, but it re-energizes as we get into parts of New England. So we could be looking at strong to severe thunderstorms as we head into the early morning hours of Friday across parts of the Northeast. Look at this. And it does start to wane a little bit here. You can see it becomes more of a heavy rain threat towards 8 a.m. But we'll have to watch here up into parts of Maine. Let's put this into motion. We could still see some strong gusty thunderstorms. There it is, 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. on Friday, October 14th. But look at this. We might salvage a pretty nice fall day across much of the Northeast, with the exception for Maine as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. Things really start to clear out here. The next system is way up here into parts of the upper Midwest. So definitely looking at a nice Friday and into Saturday across parts of the Northeast, with the exception there of eastern Maine. Saturday at 2 a.m., we're still dealing with heavy rains. But you see, this next system could be knocking on our door for Sunday. And taking a look at rainfall amounts, take a look at the HRRR mesoscale model, outputting a good inch right around Binghamton, Wilkes-Barre area, more like 1.5 to 2 inches here across the Poconos, western Catskills, central Catskills, and then we get into the Hudson Valley, about 3/4 of an inch to up to 1.5 inches. And look at this, tonight into western New England, upwards of 2 to 3 inches possible, some isolated amounts up to 4 inches into parts of Maine, and we're seeing a general inch right around southeastern New England and parts of Long Island. So here we go, upper level pattern, and I want to let you know I am going to be releasing my winter weather outlook momentarily. So sometime in the next week here, definitely working on the finishing touches here, but look at this. Yeah, we're going to see an early start to winter here, and this is start of the sign here. Look at this major trough here. This is by Friday, October 14th. Look at this major ridging up here into parts of Northeast North America. This is a classic sign of an early start to winter, and we're going to see a lot more of these troughs. You can see it does kind of weaken towards later in the weekend. We get this massive ridge out west, massive blocking up here in Greenland, the NAO index going crazy negative. You can see here across the Great Lakes in the Northeast, we're looking at a active start to the week here, and look at this. This trough really starts to reinforce behind it here. This is by Monday, October 17th. So let's head over to the GFS here. So here it is. Take a look at this. So essentially we have this big old trough sitting here. So let's head in time here. We can head out a little bit further with this run on the GFS. So take a look at this. As we head in time, very similar by Sunday here, that trough reinforcing a little bit further east on the GFS than it was onto the Euro. But look at that. There's the massive blocking, massive ridge out west here, and extreme trough in the east. This is going to bring some wet snow to parts of the Northeast and the Great Lakes into New England. Look at this Wednesday. That trough just really solidifying here across the east. This is where you're going to see temperatures struggle to get to the lower 40s in many parts of the Northeast. This is an early season trough that could be a sign of things to come as we head deeper into November, into December. This could be looking at a early start to winter. Look at this, a massive trough just kicking in by next weekend. So if you're hoping for good weather, taking a look at the change in the color of the leaves or any Halloween events you have coming up to here, it is going to feel very wintry across the east here. And look at that, as we head in time, we get a little bit of a break towards October 27th. This ridge across Canada, this is interesting to have a ridge across Canada like this, but troughs just off the east coast and a trough in the Intermountain West here. And as we head in time, the pattern reverses a little bit, but watch out. This trough is going to be pivoting eastward, so you get a little bit of ridging here. This is, towards October 29th here, the last weekend of October. So you might eke out some pretty nice weather here before another big trough moves in. All right, and I wanted to show you on the CFS model. This time of year, I like to get this model out, medium range forecasting. It's always interesting to see the pattern. Don't particularly focus on any one point or one day on this model. But take a look as we head into November. This is what I was talking about, and this is going to factor into my winter weather outlook that's coming out. This ridge out west remains persistent in this trough in the east. This is by the first week of November here. So as we go in time, take a look at this. Yeah, we do see some, flip-flop of the weather here, a little bit of ridging by the second week of November. So we'll have to watch this. I think in time this will probably fall apart. But you see a trough out west, ridge in the east. That's definitely going to pivot east. And we may be setting up for a wintry Thanksgiving. And some viewers send in photos and videos here. John sending in his photo from Farmingdale, New York. A soccer game going on this past Friday. Take a look at that nice blue sky. Cirrus clouds off in the distance. Looks like a good time out there as the sun finally broke out after that long coastal storm. So nice capture there, John. So here we go. Nationally, we're going to take a look at your temperatures here for Friday. Take a look at this. As we head towards Friday, there is a big trough kicking in here, as I showed you on the upper level pattern. So 40s. We're not going to get out of the 40s here across parts of the upper Midwest, and that's going to pivot here. Watch this. We're going to see a major pattern reversal, as I showed you in the upper air pattern. You can see this really cold air. This is for basically Saturday, October 15th. And as we head towards Sunday here, take a look at this, October 16th. The bottom really starts to fall out here. So we're holding on to one more nice warm day, relatively speaking, across the Northeast with 60s. But look at this. We start to cool down into the 50s, and look at this 40s and even 30s pivoting towards the Northeast. It's going to get kind of wintry here as we head into the Northeast for your Tuesday. Look at this. 40s and even some 30s here up into parts of the Northeast. Still holding on to some 50s here in eastern New England by Tuesday, October 18th. But look at this. As we head towards Wednesday, this cold air, mostly 40s north of this line. So yeah, you're going to see some lake effect. Even some wet snow mixed in some of these higher elevations. Even the lower elevations in the morning and overnight hours could see some wet snow mixing in. Extended outlook from our hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton's Upper Susquehanna River Valley. Take a look at this. Thursday afternoon through Monday. Severe thunderstorm potential Thursday afternoon, particularly between 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. Up to an inch of rain possible locally higher. Heading up towards the upper 60s. But look at this. Friday, the cold front moves through. Not much of a cold front. 62 and 67 for your high. So it's looking really beautiful if you want to get out and view fall foliage for your Friday and Saturday. But look at this. By Sunday, there's a chance of late day showers. The next front approaching. And then by Monday, look at this. Showers with a high of only 52. That is just going to be the precursor to 40s for highs for Tuesday, Wednesday, and the Thursday of next week. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of Weather Eastern and Hurricane Eastern. Don't forget to like me on Facebook, Media Mark, also Weather Northeastern, Hurricane Northeastern, MediaMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com. You can visit me at Twitter at Weather Eastern. Also, don't forget to leave a question or comment. Smash that like button, help support the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell button. Watch for my winter weather outlook coming out very shortly.